morning, colleagues, friends of the media, persons listening on Facebook, the international community, in particular, the people of Tobago. This morning, I would say, is a rather sad morning, and I'm wearing my dark shades for many reasons. It's a morning where people are mourning, actually, in Tobago. I say it again, it's a morning where people are mourning in Tobago. Because the TNT Express, after months of electrical problems, months of mechanical problems, months of structural issues, months of high seas, after cancelling 35% of its scheduled sailing, and I would say it's more close to 40% of its scheduled sailings for the year, the TNT Express has now kicked the bucket. And I say that. It is no more. You will recall in the month of February, there was an extension to the certificate of classification, and they would have given it a little leeway, just a little extension, up until early March. I'm dare to say that's been reported to me this morning, and I very well believe the same to be true, that the TNT Express is now in dry dock, and it will not return to the sailing between Trinidad and Tobago. It leaves the people in Tobago in particular in a precarious position. Businessmen, businesswomen, Tanti with a bunch of fig, the old man who wants to come to Trinidad for medical treatment. These persons are seriously placed in a rough position. I will just pull aside and park there for a while as I say the rescue boat, the TNT Express, or the TNT Spirit, sorry, that was supposed to be out and running right now, is not ready and will not be ready at least for the next 4 weeks. It makes no sense they rush the job, but for the next 4 weeks, it will be out. That is the TNT Spirit. I repeat again, the TNT Express has kicked the bucket this morning. It is no more. It has not received any further extensions insofar as the classification is concerned. Therefore, as a passenger boat, it is no longer classified as a passenger boat because it does not reach the standards, I'm saying, and therefore it cannot carry any passengers. That is the TNT Express. The TNT Spirit that is spent almost between $60 and $80 million on repair works, TT, is still not complete, as there are more works to be done, more mechanical works still in dry dock, and will be there for the next 4 weeks. It leaves Tobago in a catch-22 position. The galleon's passage that left China to travel to Port of Spain must travel some 11,000 nautical miles. That means if the galleon's passage eventually gets here, it will have traveled at least about a 6-month journey between Trinidad and Tobago to get here. So the boat will have already been worn. That already fragile baby-like boat. The boat that has no toilet facilities. The boat that is not yet covered. That boat is yet to be outfitted with toilet. The boat is yet to be covered. Hence, it has to go to Cuba. The boat is nowhere close to Cuba. That's the galleon's passage. The boat that they promised would be here by April is nowhere close to Cuba. It leaves Tobago without any passenger boat, no express, no spirit, no galleon's passage. I now come to one of the most critical issues. The Tobago Star from day one has been a boat of contention among Tobagoans, among persons who do trafficking. It is a boat that has very little accommodation for those who utilize its services, and it is a very unhospitable boat. It is such a boat. Then automatically the Tobago Star would become a pain in a certain part of the body for yet another year. That to me is rubbish. That to me is total disrespect. And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has to get off the pavement, get out of Parliament, and come out in the streets and the villages of Tobago and recognize the innocent people he has caused to suffer unprovoked over a year now. As a matter of fact, I suggest that he do not return to Tobago until he is ready to apologize to the people of Tobago. He must walk in the streets and he must wail and apologize for the grievous evil he have done to the people in Tobago. Foodstuff has gone up because they are scarce. Persons are avoiding coming to Tobago, in particular for the Carnival, they did that, and for the Easter, where you know, bookings are being cancelled right now. Because I said to you all, the express is no more. It has kicked the bucket this morning. It is now parked up someplace. No more traveling on the express. No more persons could travel on the express, and the TNT spirit is no more. I therefore call upon the Minister of Works and Transport, in my capacity as Minority Leader, to ensure that the same arrangement that was made for people traversing between Trinidad and Tobago who had tickets in their hand over the Carnival period be done now for the persons who have tickets in their hand and who is intent on traveling between Trinidad and Tobago via the boat. They must be able to subsidize that sea travel with air travel. Therefore, he boasted that over the Carnival period, it cost the ministry about $500,000, far cheaper than if they were to use the boat, because gas alone, fuel alone, would have cost way more than that. And I say to him now, if it only costs you that, then it may very well mean that it may cost you that for the rest of the season until we have the spirit, which may come sometime in the latter end of April. I'm calling upon him to subsidize the cost and provide the easy transportation means for persons who cannot now access the boat, but they have a ticket in their hand. Again, my eyes goes out to the people of Tobago, and if you look at my eyes, they're a little bit sorrowful. Because somebody must be able to say, it is wrong what the government is doing to Tobago. It is wrong. The same PNM who boasted about being red and ready, the same PNM has made the eyes of many mothers and fathers, sons and daughters red with sorrow. Unemployment is down. Materials can't come to Tobago. Materials cannot leave Tobago for those who want to sell materials. I'm calling upon the Prime Minister again to apologize personally to the people of Tobago for lying to them months after months. And in particular, I'm calling upon Minister Ruhan Snanam to ensure that he replace the sea travel with airline travel. I now close for questions.
I think that we're less than a month away from getting the Galleon's passage.
Yeah.
Aren't you in the least bit at ease knowing that something is on the way?
The Galleon's passage is a glorified riverboat. It will make people sick. It will make people want to jump off board. It is not built for the rough seas of the Atlantic. That boat is a no-no. It is unfit. Hence, they are not trying to fit toilet. They're not trying to cover the boat. It's a riverboat. An open-top, throw-back riverboat. Like Iowa boat. That's the kind of boat they have. A line boat. I don't know what gave the government the impression that people who are traversing between Trinidad and Tobago, who are about the business of dollars and cents, want to engage in a throwback top boat. So they're not trying to cover it. And toilet is not a necessity. Else, from the inception, those things would have been factors in choosing a boat, not a river boat.
But he's saying it's not repairs. It's not that the vessel didn't have toilets. He's just putting in additional toilets, which he described as enhancements and not repairs.
Well, once you put in additional toilet, any builder will know you're taking away space from a boat. So that which was carrying maybe 200 passengers may now carry 150 because you're putting in toilets. It requires a certain amount of space for a toilet. So the minister is not being engineering in his thinking.
Your suggestion can't be to build a boat because you and I both know that building a boat will take years.
That's not our suggestion. Our suggestion is that the Port Authority Board made several recommendations and they were good recommendations. The minister, they sought to jimmy the lock and do it themselves. I don't know where they get this DIY stuff, do it yourself method, where they want to get involved in securing a boat.
What are the specific recommendations you're referring to that the Port Authority made that you're saying that was so good?
I'm saying you could ask Alison Lewis, who the recent, she is the recent chairman of the board. She may now be open to talks as she has resigned from the bothersome and troublesome position. You can ask her. I think she's most suited to say the many recommendations that they made to this government on all different types of boats. Boats that would have been there on time, been accommodating both cars, people. We have fully air conditioned, cafeteria, everything like that, dignified boats, and they refuse. They are now spending $80 million repairing TNT Spirit, and it's still not ready as yet. It will not be ready until sometime early June. Early June.
I'm going to ask a question off topic.
Off topic?
Yeah.
You want to stay on topic, you know?
I know.
Because if off topic, that becomes the news.
PSA elections. What's going on with that?
Well, on the issue of PSA elections, I'll answer that question. We are ready for election. I say if they call election now in Mount Honolulu, my people are ready. But the truth is that some persons who are spoiling the ballot and they are saying that the elections shouldn't be held as yet. And so we intend to look at that with the General Council and the conference, and some decisions must be made on that insofar as the election is concerned by no one mountain. So we would have a decision from the conference of delegates stating what we shall do with the elections.
But the matter is still before the court.
No, that matter has been dispensed with already by the court.
I get this from the news day. On Friday in the lower house, the Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, made some remarks in which he said, Tobago should be given more autonomy, and he even alluded to the fact that they should be able to make their own laws. With respect to what you're talking about right now, with respect to the ferry situation, what does that mean, or how does that pan out with respect to Tobago, or would you care to weigh in on that at all?
Yeah, Dr. Keith Rowley is a hypocrite, a political hypocrite who preaches and professes one thing, but conducts himself in a totally different manner. How could you speak in autonomy for Tobago? You have a chief secretary with his mouth zipped. The boat that is coming here, the Galleon's Passage, the chief secretary was on a national television station saying he has no knowledge of the boat. None. He was saying that. TV6, early morning. And he wants to give Tobago more autonomy. When the very boat that is now the lifeline, the troublesome, mechanically challenged and electrically challenged TNT Express is now dead. It kicked the bucket. I mean, the boat has been written off, packed up. The certificate that's classified as a passenger vessel is not being renewed. No more extension. They got an extension in February for early March. It is now no more. And he wants to give autonomy to Tobago. I tell you, the Prime Minister cares only about himself. And it's nothing new to us in Tobago, save and except we felt that if we gave him more support and he become Prime Minister, he will do something for us. Let me go further. The Prime Minister kicked and squealed and whined in his chair as a child in 1987, saying that the then Prime Minister, Ian Robinson, was building it upon. Now he has gotten the chance to be Prime Minister. What he did? He's building a port, a deep water harbour in Tobago, and he has not even dredged the port in Scarborough. Is that a man who wants to give Tobago autonomy? Oh, come on. He's a political hypocrite. Enough said?
Yeah.
the issues with the boat, gentlemen and women. Remember, the TNT Express has kicked the bucket. The Galleon's Passage is making a long and turbulent journey. It is very questionable that the boat will get here on time, and when it gets here, the boat will be suitable. We are questioning that. As I maintain, it is not a new boat, and it is a river boat on the Cabo Star. Most interestingly, the government said 1 year for the Cabo Star, and if they do not sign that non-renewal of the contract this week, then automatically we will be saddled and will be forced to work with the Cabo Star for yet another year. And the Cabo Star is not a boat that is conducive for cargo insofar as those persons who operate the trucking system back and forth in Tobago are concerned.
You're speaking on behalf of the people of Tobago with regards to the vote issue, right? What exactly, tell me exactly what is you guys want, what to make you happy, what to make you satisfied to say that, okay, the Prime Minister and the rest of the government actually seeking the interests of the people of Tobago?
We will want the government to take their dirty hands, take their dirty, corrupt hands, let the government take their dirty and corrupt hands out of the Port Authority cookie jar. Allow the Port Authority to conduct their jobs without political interference. Whether it be sourcing a boat, whether it be just operating day-to-day service, let them do that. And I cry shame upon Rohan Snanan. He should hang his head in shame and walk the streets when he see that it's no big crisis in Tobago. Tobago only represents 20% of the port issues. So because we represent only 20%, because we are only 20%, it means that there are not human lives across here. It means that people, business aren't falling up and falling across here. Let me tell you something. If one person goes out of business because of that boat, it is one too much. We are promised freedom of movement in our constitution. Freedom of movement. And yet this government is hell-bent on restricting the movements of Tobago. I met my neighbor the other day. He said, Watson, what's the matter with this? Over 5 years now, me not got Trinidad, you know. My neighbor telling me that. 5 years now. He said, I just want to go. But when I think about the boat, I doesn't go. I met a man who has not gone to Trinidad for over 30 years. There are people in Tobago. They have refused to come down here simply because of what the government is making Trinidad out to be. Why are they putting Tobago against Trinidad? And this boat issue is one that will drive a nail in the coffin to put Tobago against Trinidad. And I'm saying no. This is a year of love. This is the year of love. And we must try to bring both countries together, Trinidad and Tobago. By Trinidad standing up for Tobago and crying shame on Rowley and his team, and reaching out and saying this boat crisis must end. This is what we want to see. This is why I'm doing this press conference in Trinidad, so as to solicit the thousands of Tobagonians who exist down here and are working down here and say this is the year of love. Let's put back some dignity in the living for Tobagonians. Right now it's hard, it's rough. Let's put it back.
Allow me to play devil's advocate, right? I have one more question. You mentioned that one of the boats that they proposed to traverse the Everett between Trinidad and Tobago is open and...
That's the Gilligan Passage.
Galleon's Passage, right?
Galleon's Passage.
For the sake of argument, places like St. Kitts and Nevis, they have boats like that they use, ferries like that they use to transport persons between the islands. And I don't know it's because that's what they've gotten used to. Whereas we have gotten used to, I guess, more better conditions. Don't you think?
It's a fair question.
Maybe it can work, or
but it cannot work.
Fact, why can't it work?
I swam
because
that.
Because tourists. Okay, St. Kitts and Nevis is a tourist island, right? Tourism accounts for a large part of the economy. And we have people from, well, even the natives and then the tourists as well, they use the boats without complaining or anything like that.
And I once traveled from St. Vincent to one of those islands out there, now on one of those river boats where the top is open, you drive on, you relax, those open top boats, but the boats go very slow. Hence you find the Galleon's Passage is going very slow. The Galleon's Passage is actually going slower than the Cabo Star. That's how slow it is going, a cargo boat. More than that, I swam between Trinidad and Tobago, and I could tell you the currents that exist between Trinidad and Tobago. Even the sharks don't play with the current. That's how dangerous it is. It's a serious undercurrent there. This is why they call it the bocas. Big ships those had to be going slow through that portion. That little small dinghy, that little raft that they're bringing from China is going to be like a death wish for anybody who's traveling that area there. I don't want to travel in that boat at all. And I asked them, while the ink is still wet, to cancel the agreement and get another boat. Please, I'm calling upon them to do that. Cancel that bad agreement and get another boat while the ink is still wet on the document.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Could you use this one?
Let me ask a question. So when we can see someone again.
Hold on live now. People,
When?
listen to all you know. Listen
Yeah,
to the journalism we have here.
No, I never said so. Did you come out swanky?
And that's different
Yes,
business.
yes,
It does as well.